Well, I think we're live. So pop in on the chat, everyone. I'm just waiting on Aaron. Aaron's getting a couple of things organised and ready. So as soon as he is ready, we'll add him into the stream. So let me just quit this too. Get rid of the... I know that was the email down. That should be fine. So pop in if you are here. Have a quick chat. We'll do a Q&A. I think Aaron's coming in now anyway, actually. in a minute. I'll just see if I can add him. Hang on. Here we go. Let's see if we can add him.
Hey, can you hear me?
He's here. Hello, Aaron. How you going?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Yeah, really good. Been a couple of weeks. You've been busy, I see.
Yeah, I've been very, very busy. And we just, first time we actually got settled in here, and I got a, uh-oh.
You got problems?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the pop-out chat. It's been so long, I forget what I'm doing.
It's funny. God. Oh, you know what? We probably should, let me start the timer.
So Is there anybody in here?
Not yet. There's a couple, I think. No one's in the chat though yet. That's why I thought I'd pop in live and let people join us. Start stopwatch. So let's do it from here.
Oh my gosh. How do I get out? I don't.
Just getting organised.
Okay. Hi, Carol.
So Carol's here. So Carol's in. We've got a few watching, so they need to just pop in and say live in the chat. Rob's also now popping in as well. G'day, Rob. How are you? Good to see you here as well. Beautiful sunny day. Like we're just discussing with Aaron. Aaron's been up to New York and stuff like that. He's had a big couple of trips and been busy. So how was your trip, Aaron?
Oh, man, it was absolutely fantastic. It was a little nerve-wracking, going to New York in this time because that's a lot of people have issues over there. So I don't want to say the word. I don't know if we get demonetized and all that stuff. But went over there and, it went pretty good. Not everything that not everything that we usually go to is open, but the majority was. So we were able to run around and go to our old stomping grounds everywhere and get everything done. And we went there for work, got that all done. And every time we go, we got to do, photo shoots and stuff. So we did that. And yeah, everything went great. We loved it. Weather was perfect. It was it's about like 69 to 73. So it's perfect, like just light jacket.
From where you live.
Yeah. So it was cooler, but it wasn't freezing. So it was really good. How about you, man? I've seen a lot of videos of yours lately. You've been going to waterfalls and jungles.
Posting a few over there. Well, we've just recently been allowed out again, Aaron. So we've only just started being able to sort of, stretch our legs again outside from lockdown. So I believe Melbourne, I think, is coming out of most of their lockdown on Sunday. They did do some Monday this week, but they're coming out again a little bit more on Monday, so with more or less restrictions. They still can't come out into the country, though, but they are able to open up shops and all that sort of stuff. So it looks like things are picking up. I think we only had one case yesterday, or they were even saying it might be zero. It might be a
I heard you were saying it the other day.
Yeah, so, I think the things are looking pretty good here now. So I'd say we're going to be fully open soon. We've started letting New Zealanders back into the country. So they sort of had a bubble, I think, between the two countries. So we'll also be able to, I suppose, travel to New Zealand as well. So at least those two, because they basically have zero amounts of virus. So they'll start opening up again soon. So,
well, hopefully it goes good. Hey, when do I press start on our thing here?
Well, it doesn't matter. We're only doing the two stories today anyway, so I'll just add it in. I'll just find it later, so it's fine. We don't have to worry. So let's see who's in here anyway. We've got Carol was saying hello, so that's nice. Carol is an amazing lady that we met while we were in...
Great photographer.
You didn't meet her, did you, Aaron? No, she was only in LA.
I did not, no. Yeah, no, but I follow her on Instagram, and she does amazing photos, so go check her out if you haven't already.
She does some amazing moonshots, actually.
Yeah, I know, like really, really good.
Yeah, I love her moonshot. And she does these amazing sunsets with the LA sunsets, so she does some amazing stuff there too. Rob's here from Ontario, so he's here as well. Joe's here from Las Vegas. How are you, Joe? 95's here as well. Nobody. They're all starting to come in. They will come in as we go along.
Oh, and thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up would be good too, guys, because it does let people know that we're live, because we haven't done this for a couple of weeks, so people probably aren't expecting us to be on.
I know, they're like,
Rob
"Who are
said,
these guys?"
Aaron,
Well, me.
I think you can say cooties and not risk being demonetized.
Cooties.
What's cooties?
That's a good
What's
word.
that?
Well, cooties, when growing up in school here in the United States, people would say, like, if another kid was like, like you want to make fun of him and he's like dirty or she's dirty or you don't want to get sick from her or whatever, you say they got cooties, which is kind of like they're sick or something. But it's usually like you're bullying someone, like, oh, so and so's got cooties, and all the kids stay away from that person. It just makes them feel sad. You go, I don't got cooties. So that's what cooties are.
I love it. That's funny. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, cooties. I haven't heard that. Whoever said that, that's the first time I heard it in like years. I mean, it's so crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if I put the wrong link in. Because Langston just said, "G'day, Langston. It says the original live was deleted when you click on the link. It's weird, but I found it." Well, that's strange. Perhaps I shared the
Langston.
wrong.
Mark.
I might have shared the wrong live handle.
Mario.
That might be why there was less here this morning, because I had two. What I did, I made a mistake, Aaron, because originally I went through the live studio, your YouTube studio, and I did it through there. And then I thought, oh, hang on, we use StreamYard. Because it's been a couple of weeks since we've done it, I forgot. And so I put the wrong feed in. So that's probably what's happened, I think. It'll be the wrong feed in the photography, videography school and everything.
Funny.
Oh, well. Doesn't matter.
we could post it after the.
Yeah, I'll change it afterwards. Just make sure. Mario's here as well.
Hero.
G'day, Mario. How are you? Joe is saying 88 degrees at 4 p.m. So still nice and warm.
Well, you live in Puerto Rico?
Yeah. What are you? Probably 100 at 4 p.m.
140 or 100 and whatever you said. 88.
But how does Liz-Dian like going into the colder weather, or does she find it?
No, she likes it. Yeah, she likes the cold weather as well. We both like it. She likes the beach too. Don't like the beach. It's just like kind of hot and all that type of stuff. So she's comfortable both ways. I'm happier when it's colder, but she fits right in. No problem. She likes it.
Well, she grew up in it, so she's probably,
Yeah, exactly.
used to it.
Exactly. I can't get used to it. I get hot.
Yeah. Carol said thank you. Now, there's Carol's Instagram feed if anyone wants to follow her. She's Carlo21. Carflow21. Yep.
Very good.
Mark's here as well, saying hello all. Langston
was
talking.
Osmo Pocket 2.
Yeah, I know that I should have sold my other ones. I've still got them. I've still got that Osmo Pocket and the FireTech one, or whatever it is, that other one that I've got. I need to sell them.
Hurry up.
Yeah, but you know what, Aaron? I checked the price here this morning, and the Osmo Action, or that Osmo Pocket, is worth $600 here in Australia.
Wow.
$600.
That's incredible, right?
How much is it in the US? It can't be. It's probably around $300-400.
I don't even know.
So I still should be able to get $350 for my Osmo Action.
Put it up
Pocket,
tonight.
I think.
You never used it. You might as well put it up.
Yeah, I know. I've only used it about 3 times, I think. What have we got here? Hero said notification gang. Yeah, love it too, guys. If you could give us a thumbs up, because like I said, I think I stuffed up the links sharing it this morning. So
Hogarth is asking. Oops, sorry, David.
No, you go.
Hogarth is asking, did I settle on a single lens yet? Not yet. It's really hard because every time I love shooting with primes. That's like the history. But the Tamron 28 to 75, that's the lens that got me to go to Sony from Panasonic and everything else I had. And every time I put some primes up against that, man, the Tamron just comes so close, if not beats it in some point sometimes, that it's really hard to really kind of put the Tamron. I would never get rid of it because it's a good backup lens for if you need to work fast and primes aren't going to fit the scenario. It's a good lens to take, but man, that lens is just really amazing. Every time I test it, I'm like, wow, it's so good. So
Peter's in too. He's just dropping in. It's dinner time here. He's just saying hi. So
hey, Peter,
thanks,
Peter Craig, go
Peter.
check out his YouTube channel. He's amazing. Been following him for a long time.
And say hi to Peter when he goes on. Sometimes his streams go for 6 hours. Like he'll go all night sometimes, Peter. He loves it. It's quite funny when you sit back and just chill and watch him and relax.
Now, does Peter have 2 channels?
Yes, he's got a live one, and
I didn't
he
know.
does one where he does his normal lenses and stuff too. He just said he's ordered the Tamron 17 to 28. It is. It's really good, Peter.
Yeah,
You'll
I
love
heard
it.
that one's
It's a
good.
great lens.
I
My
don't shoot
favorite
much
is the
wide.
well, my favorite is the 28 to 75. You love that too, Aaron, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just every time I put primes against it, at 50 millimeters, that Tamron is as sharp as the Zeiss 55. I mean, at wide open. You know, of course, you're at 1.8 and 2.8, but if you're shooting them both wide open, and that's what you do, that Tamron is going to be a little sharper. Of course, you're not going to get as blurry background, so yeah, you might want to shoot with the Zeiss 55 if that's kind of what you're going for. But it just comes so close, and the price is so good, and it's still so small that it's just like it's a good lens to either at least have as a backup.
Yeah, I like I said, when I'm doing weddings, I keep that on the whole time. But you'll love that, Peter. I took that all around the USA and got some amazing images with it. It's terrific, really light, small, very sharp. It's great. Langston also said here too that oddly I don't want the Pocket 2 and I don't know why. Well, I'm the same, Langston. Like look, I'll tell you why I never really used it was because I got the Osmo Action and I very rarely use that either. The thing is, I find the iPhone that good that I don't really need to use anything else if I'm doing that type of work. I just stick the iPhone on a gimbal and use it that way. But I've found since I got the latest one, and I'm getting the new one next week or whenever it comes out, but since I've got this, the stabilization, particularly on the wide angle lens, you don't even need a gimbal. It's that good that that's the reason why I've really never used my Osmo Pocket. But I know, see, Photomiak, who's joined us, g'day, Ike, he uses his all the time for when he's doing his vlogging and his YouTube stuff. I mean, he was using that, Aaron, when we were in the States with him together doing that workshop.
Exactly. Now, the iPhone is just so good and it's always with you that, you know, my wife's got the better iPhone like you. So I rather just pull that out, have her shoot some behind. I haven't did a lot of videos lately, as anybody can tell. But when I do, it's easier just to use the iPhone. It's just always there. I don't have to extra charge nothing. So yeah, I'm kind of the same now. I was using it more, but it's just like the iPhone's right there. Just pull that out and
Are you selling it?
You know? No, I traded it for
oh, that's right.
Yeah, I traded it for what do you call those little square ones? I can't remember.
Yeah,
GoPro.
for the GoPro, yeah.
Hey, that GoPro stabilization is actually outstanding. I mean, I know everybody knows it's no secret, but when you compare it with the Osmo, I was getting more of this type of movement.
Yeah.
You know, because I would always film, like we would do these jewelry conventions and I would film some B-roll for them. And when I walked with the Osmo, you know, you'd always get this, even if I try to do the ninja walk, there's always that. But with the GoPro, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a little bit there, but you can hardly tell. So
is that the Osmo 8 or is it the GoPro 8 or the 9?
No, it's a 7, whatever.
7, yeah. Well,
yeah,
I know.
It was used. I traded it.
Yeah, even my Osmo Action, it's incredible. I mean, the stabilization on those things really is nuts.
And
I've
it's
got a question
smaller.
here too. Someone said, "What lens are you drinking?"
Oh yeah, this here. He's saying, "What lens am I drinking out of?" This is a not a lens. This is It comes with this little pad you guys can't see, but you plug it into the wall, and there's these contacts on the bottom. So when you keep it on there, it keeps your contents of your cup hot. So that's what it is. The battery died on it though. Usually when you do this, it says "Hello, Aaron." It tells you the temperature and all that. But the battery died, but it still works while I put it on the little. It's like a coaster pad. It keeps my drinks hot. And I'm drinking tea, fresh made ginger tea.
Rob said, "How are the Sunstars?" Really good. I mean, I got some great shots with that, and the Sunstars were great. I used it when I was at Monument Valley and got some terrific Sunstars with that. So yeah, they're really good. Barry's here as well. G'day, Barry. Hero said, still waiting on the SD card slot on the iPhone. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I always get the maximum one though. This is the 512 gig, so I never run out.
Well, you know what's funny? What they just say? They're waiting for what?
Waiting on the SD card slot on the iPhone.
Yeah, so see, that's the thing. The iPhones need like at least a micro SD card slot, if anything. It's probably what they would go for, kind of like Samsung does. But then the cameras, all the cameras we use need internal. So they just need, you know, card slot on this and internal memory on, I can't believe they don't do that on cameras yet. At least like 16 gig or 32 gig just to have that redundancy of JPEGs or something.
Well, the thing was too, I use software which is called, just looking what it is, iMazing, to download my photos off my iPhone, and it's super quick. So you just connect the iPhone into your computer, and then all the images show up, and then just drag them across into a folder, and it's fantastic, Aaron.
Yeah, I've watched a couple videos on that. With the new Sony A7C, it having one card slot, I was looking up ways to get around the one card slot, because what I would do when I was on Panasonic cameras that only had one card slot, I would do a wedding, I would do the ceremony or the getting ready shots, and on my way to the ceremony, I would stick the thing into my iPad, or I don't think iPhones did it at that point, but at that time, but stick it into an iPad with the little dongle thing, SD card thing, and have the files offloading to my iPad while I put another card into the camera. So when I get there, that's being backed up, but that's kind of a hassle to always remember to do that. And you can still have problems, especially taking cards out and doing all that stuff. So the Sony A7C has, I think, the same situation as the Sony A7R4, where you can transfer, what do you call that, proxy type stuff over. And someone in our chat, someone in our Facebook group, I can't remember his name, he always does these weird videos. I call him weird because he's kind of like me. He does these things that a lot of people don't care about, but it's really interesting. And he was showing you how to network your A7R4 to your iPad, and they're like large raw files go immediately, like within seconds, to your iPad. So Sony A7C like that, you could have your iPhone in a bag or an iPad, and as you're doing your wedding, it's being redundantly backed up on your, let's say, your phone, and then if it's going into Dropbox in your phone, then it goes to the cloud. So there's other ways around it now. I don't know why I went off on on that, but it's something to think about.
I'm so excited about the new one though. Like some of the features of the new iPhone look incredible, because it looks like it's doing HDR video from it, and they're saying it's Dolby Vision or something that's coming on it. And the way it looks, that you're going to get raw video. I think it's raw video coming out of it, and you're also going to get raw stills.
Wow.
And everything can be edited independently. So it looks like it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to get my hands on that. Sometimes, not having USB is a bit of a deal, but I don't mind now, because look, you can either connect wirelessly. I find cables that are already there work quick enough for me, so it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, my iPad has USB-C, but the iPhone doesn't. I'm not really that worried about it, to be honest. Nash said, good morning, David. Have you got room in your doghouse? He's just purchased the A7S III a few days ago. Today at DigiDirect's 20% off. And he's also getting the 12 to 24 GM is getting delivered. There goes my retirement plan. I love it. So he's in the dog's house.
He's in the doghouse. Oh, my gosh. I love it. Well, hope it was worth it.
Yeah, no, it will be. Trust me, it's fantastic. That camera, here it is. I absolutely
you like that thing, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
But it's only 12 megapixels, David.
You know what? Did you look at those video?
You saw, I posted. I've been playing with the files. I posted them on our Facebook group. They're actually quite amazing, I must say. Like,
they are the nicest looking images.
Yeah, they look.
I've seen.
But why? They did. It's a new sensor, am I right?
Yes. Well, yes, it is. Yes.
So this new sensor is probably just it's so clean, and the dynamic range is so good, and it's resolving a lot of detail. Where those 12 megapixel files are like, wow. I mean, I downloaded them from someone else that was sharing them, so you can play with them because I don't have the camera. And man, I brought it into Lightroom with my Sony preset that does all its little tweaks to it, how I like it. Giving it to kind of just the way I like it. And then I cropped that 12 megapixels down by, I don't know, 15% or something. And then I rendered it out and looked at it and zoomed in, and it's still like, wow, it's still usable for maybe even an 8x10 or something. Even magazines of this format. I mean, like maybe even the cover, but well, these are my photos too, but I'm talking about like even smaller photos within, well, let's get to a small photo. They're not all we're like this. This is small. I mean, it would work great for
Yeah.
little photos like that and stuff. Even
Well,
cropping.
I've done 20 by 30 images on, but it's the color too, Aaron.
I know. I saw your
and I showed
side-by-side.
side by side, and boy, does it blow the A7 III away.
It just looks clean and clear,
Yeah, the
it's
skin tones have been dramatically improved. I was shocked, and not only that, I have to do a full review of it. I've got that video coming up soon, actually, with that girl that I photographed, because I did a whole shoot with her just to test how it went with stills, and it was outstanding. And I can't wait to share that video.
Or what was the model's name?
Irma.
Irma. Is that the one the real cute girl with the blossoms?
Yes. Here, I'll
my
show
wife
you
said, "Oh my gosh, that's a doll right there."
I'll just open it up so you can have a look. I'll show you who she is.
I need more slack on my speaker.
Ava, I think it is. Let me open up with preview.
Yeah, she was so cute. She did such a great job.
Yeah, she's a gorgeous girl. Let me just share it and I'll show you. So this was shot with the A7 III. Like I said, I've got a million of these that I'm going to start showing shortly. Like the skin tones are just beautiful through the A7S, and the sharpness and the color rendering and all the tones. When I showed the difference between the A7 III and what this shot, it was drastically different. And I'm surprised, even when I blew it up, because I showed that, and now I know Aaron's done some tests and he shared these in their videography school as well. It still holds up really well when you enlarge it. Now, yes, you couldn't print it like that, but to share on social media or if you're doing movies or whatever, it's outstanding. But, I could print this up to 20 by 30 and not have an issue at all.
Nope.
And
I've always said that too. I mean, I always point to this because is that my shot? Yeah, this is 16 megapixels, and I don't know what size that is. I forget, but it looks absolutely amazing. I mean, 16 megapixels. On a Micro Four Thirds, that Sony A7 S3, 12 megapixels, having all the better resolution that it is, would clearly blow up bigger than that and still look amazing.
So I've been shocked.
Most of us started with 12 megapixels anyway.
Yeah. Well, I used to use it all the time with my Nikon D3S and stuff. So, I've always shot with it, but I forgot how good it actually is. But it's not only that, the focus was amazing. And I was shocked at the screen even, because I thought the screens were exactly the same, but they have made a big improvement. You said that. Yeah, in the screen. And that shocked me. But the EVF, oh my God. The EVF is unbelievable. When you look through it, you just go, wow. When you're looking at the previews of the images, it is nuts.
I wonder how it fancies against the Panasonic G9, because I remember that one, even today, from all the viewfinders I looked in, was it gave me that wow factor. So I just wonder what that is. Did the GH5 had a good viewfinder?
Yes, it did. Yeah,
how's it compared to that?
Not like this though. No, it's not like this.
This is even better.
Yeah, this is the best I've ever seen. I mean, are you seriously thinking about getting one, or you're not at this stage?
No, I'm pretty good. I'm doing mostly jewelry photography, so it's kind of nice to have more megapixels for that scenario, because we like to maybe take 2 different rings and then cut in onto one just to show it or something. So it's not something in my forte at the moment.
All right, so let's get started anyway, because I want this story I found, which is really interesting. It's talking about color, and I'm going to share this screen because this is fascinating. You may not have seen this, Aaron, but you'll sort of understand when I go through it. But it's called "Are You Still Chasing?" I need to share it actually full screen. Let me just do it that way.
Still chasing what?
Stop
color?
Sharing. Just so we can see it full. Oh, no, that's all right. That shows okay. All right, so it's this article here, which is "Are You Still Chasing Perfect Color?" And the reason why this is fascinating is, I came from lecturing color in university. So to sort of talk about my background, originally I was in advertising and I did all that sort of work. But then I ended up getting a teaching degree, and I lectured in color theory. And because I came from an advertising background, I understood the color side of that very, very well, because we had to do, say, color shoots or whatever, or even do the printing side of it. And then we had to try and make sure that that was matched perfectly to something else. So I understand color very, very well. And in fact, we used to have light boxes where we'd bring the clients in and they'd look to the underneath the light boxes so everyone saw the image in that correct color. Because if you did a job and you did it in your workplace and then you sent it to them and they looked at it in totally different lighting, well, it was completely different in its looks. It's that sort of critical with color. But this article is pretty amazing because it goes through, and I'll leave these links down below so that you can have a look at this, but it goes through a whole stack of stuff about where the terminology comes from. And I used to do this with my students. I used to say, have a couple of swatches. I used to have, say, a number of them. And what I used to say, there were a whole series of reds like that. And then I'd get them to look at an image and then they put that away after a while, and then I'd get them to try and remember which red it was. And you can't, because you can't remember a tonal color. It doesn't sink in your head. And this is the problem. You used to get clients that would say, oh, I want it red, but then, there's a million different reds that you're there. Or if they try and do something from memory, it just doesn't work because you can't remember these different tones or shades of these colors. It doesn't sink in. Very rarely they would ever pick the one that they'd chosen before. So that's sort of talking about that aspect of it. But if you go down, the thing that I wanted to share here is, because this is where it gets critical, they're talking about Kelvin in this article, and they're talking about calibrating your screen and doing all this sort of stuff. And it started from this guy called Baron Kelvin, was the one that invented the scale that came up. And you will have seen it because it's the temperature of light, and it's this thing that you're seeing down here, which your reds are 2000, then it goes up to 9000 in your blue area. So it goes from warm to cold. So if you're dialing in your white balance in your camera in Kelvin, you would put in those sort of temperatures, or do, like from a grey card. How do you balance your cameras, Aaron? Do you do it by Kelvin or do you do a white balance card?
Well, I typically just use a white card. Like when I do here, I have this big foam core that I actually put right here on the wall. And then I just white balance. Well, I turn my lights on and then I just white balance off of that. And it comes up. That's what I did right here. So it looks good. It looks good. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I do a bit of both. I've started, since I've been doing video, I tend to now start to dial the video Kelvin in. I mean, I have got a color checker passport. I mean, I've got that right here that, if you look at this thing here, so I've got it right here that I can use. And I do use that often if I'm being critical. It's got a grey card on this side here that you can use as well. But I find sometimes the problem is that will give you a balanced type color, but you may not want that. The thing is, you might want to match what your ambient light is. You may want a warm type color, you may want a cool type color. And this is the thing that you have to decide. And that's why now I've often started dialing it in by hand and picking the color that I like and looking at it through the EVF and the viewfinder to sort of match. And mention it in the chat too, guys, what you think. Which way do you like to work? Do you like to put in the Kelvin? Because I've found that way you can keep the color as you see it more than, say, starting from a neutral type platform. I mean, you can edit it later and in post, but as usual, I like to try and get it, as close as possible.
Just to go a little further on how I do it, I do the white card, but then if it just doesn't look, because sometimes it looks too clinically, usually cool, so it looks too clinical, then I definitely use Kelvin to dial it in. So I don't just do white and leave it like that. I almost always dial in a Kelvin. So I'm glad you brought that up. So to do a little further, sometimes it just doesn't look. Sometimes even lights, especially fluorescent lights, will leave you have a green or a magenta, even if you do a white balance. I've noticed like something just a little bit off there. Certain lights are just weird like that, and the camera didn't quite nail it. So then I'll go in to the once you get the white balance set, I go to the right on the Sony camera. Then you can choose warm or cold or magenta, and then I'll just dial into my eye. But then I've also noticed that some cameras, the back of the screen looks a little bit different than the viewfinder as well. So you start getting all these viewfinder or monitor variances. So yeah, colors are a pretty difficult thing.
I mean, one thing you can do though is, if you're worried, you can just sort of dial it in manual, but you can have the, your subject, or even put this into the screen somewhere at the start of the shoot.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you can use that as a target if you wanted to, say, nail in and get white balance a little bit later, as long as you're not right off, like, I mean, you can only do so much, but
Yeah.
unless you shoot raw, of course. But I mean, you can use that as a guide if you wanted to later on to, say, get a white balance, if you wanted to, say, click on it with a color picker or something like that and get a white balance that way. But like I said, I've started doing a lot of it now, and like, I'm learning as I go on, but I'm now starting to put it in. I don't like to tend to use, there is things called sunny, and they talk about this down here. I think where was it?
Sunny, cloudy, shade.
Yeah,
and all those
sunny,
types of
cloudy,
things
and
that-
stuff like that. Yeah, where you can put in. But there's something I want to talk to you about that, and this is really interesting, Aaron. So that's the Kelvin scale that has come up. Now, the interesting thing is, though, it's saying here that the Kelvin scales are not a universal scale, because
That's interesting.
if you look at the difference between Nikon and Canon, they're completely different. And this is what was amazing, because
Yeah, look at that.
they're saying incandescent light on Nikon is 3,000 Kelvin, tungsten is 3.2, white fluorescent is 3.7, and it's 4,000 on Canon. Direct sunlight is both the same. Flash is 5.4, and look at the flash difference there. It's 6,000 on the Canon. So you've gone from 5.4 to 6,000. Cloudy is 6.6, so that's the same. Shade is 8 and 7. Again, it's a big difference. And what's the last one? Just choosing color temperature. Yeah, choosing it between. So it looks like, and I'd love to know this too, it'd be interesting to sort of measure the difference with Sony here and also Panasonic as well. It looks like there's no set standard on what the thing is. They just measure it, and then that's what they determine as being their correct color. So they're both different. So if you took a shot from this is what I'd be curious about. They're saying they're different temperatures, but are they appearing the same in the file, or are they different?
Yeah.
And this is what I don't know, but it's fascinating, Aaron.
Well, it's interesting because you got to figure out, like, the colorist or the scientist who's coming up with the color for a manufacturer. What lights are they using? Are they using daylight? So that it's the same everywhere around the Earth. I don't even know where they're. Yeah, that's a kind of a good one. I never knew they were such far off. I'm trying to figure out where, like, when it says tungsten, what are they going off of? Are they going off of daylight and say tungsten is usually this much in our country and around our office, so they dial in, something from daylight, being this is what tungsten is here in our scientific headquarters? Or, yeah, I have no idea. Never knew that was such a thing.
Yeah, so it's interesting, isn't it, when you look at that, how much they
Yeah,
vary
weird.
between the two cameras. So I thought, wow, that really was interesting when I was reading that too. I never believed
Got
that was
me.
possible. I always thought, and I did tell people that was just the setting that was used, and I was under the impression that all the cameras had the same
Universal,
setting.
right?
So yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's weird.
What else? So it's saying where does it leave us? And it's talking about color white balance. And they're saying, remember, there is no correct color white balance. And this is what they're saying, because it depends on what you're after and the type of look that you're trying to actually get. Now, he's done this through gel, so it's sort of a really extreme example about what's going on. But what was interesting was further down, he was talking about this guy, which is this Bradley Michael. Now, he's completely colorblind, and usually if you're colorblind, you don't see certain colors, but Bradley he sees black and white. So he really is severely handicapped in his color sense. But this is his work that they show, and it's stunning. So what's happened? He's learned from people, basically working with people. He's worked out what the tonal value should be. So as they're saying here, that he knows that the skin should be this sort of tonal range. So if he sees there's more green value, he'll take that green out and stuff like that. And they're showing a couple of different examples down the bottom here, how he's sort of basing it from his experience. So it's incredible to think that, you could be seeing things in black and white or grayscale, and then he's using his color experience. But then someone said, the interesting thing is, though, that's someone else's experience that have told him that, because he doesn't have any idea what he's seeing. So he's going by someone else giving him
Saying that's what
that idea. Yeah. Because when you read this article, it's true. It's saying things like color changes as we get older. You see things differently when you're young as to when you're old. You see things a lot warmer. It's going down here. Where did I read that? It was saying it changes with age. You know, you get, I think it's warm when you're young and it's bluer when you're younger. So it does change. And everyone, and this is the thing, that everyone sees color differently. And this is the thing that's very, very hard about having this whole setup, because we all interpret colors a little bit, you know, differently. And it's fascinating to think about, Aaron.
Well, here's the thing, like in video production, we use a thing called the vector scope. And a vector scope is like a circle. I had a photo of it, but I don't want to share it. But it's like it's a scope that you can have up, and it's a circle. And then there's values that go around of the RGBs and colors. And then there's kind of like skin tone color off to the side. And when you get all the colors lined up pointing in that one direction, then you're supposed to have great skin tones, I guess. So who made that chart and where does it go? But I think that's the main thing, is using charts that could be universal. So because when you do like a color test and you post it on social media, or even if you send out a DVD or whatever back in the day to many different people, say, hey, which one do you like better? Well, not only are our eyes different, but every monitor is different.
Yep.
So there's
even
just
your lighting, even your lighting above
and the lighting could be different. I have a very warm light in here, so things are going to look different. So there's really, when I hear people saying, oh, you know, Sony colors suck, or this one's better, or that one's better, it's like, by whose standard? I mean, it's like the majority. Well, maybe the majority could say something. So it's kind of one of those things. I never was too, you know, caught up in the color thing. I mean, I could say what color that I like out of camera better. But if you're looking at it on a cooler monitor, or you're older than me and have warmer vision, who knows? So it's kind of one of those weird things. But a vector scope and other scopes can kind of tell you and keep it at least universal based on a scope, and not the actual color of monitors in your eyes and all that stuff.
See, in the interest, this is why when I was in the advertising industry, we refused to show people their work unless they viewed it under our conditions, which was inside this light box. Or we'd give the client, if they were big enough, we gave the clients the white boxes as well, these viewing booths that had exactly the same lighting in them, so they were looking at them under the same conditions. You know, like if you're looking at a print, say in this room here, and this is very, very warm inside here, it's going to look really, really warm. And then if I go outside, it's going to look completely different. Yep. And this is the issue with the calibration type issues that you go through and stuff like that. Like Rob's saying here that it's designed to be approximate in conditions. Not every cloudy day is the same and stuff like that. But I would have thought that the camera manufacturers would have put a default standard in that made it the same, though. That's what shocked me when I saw that article. I thought all of them would have had the same figure, and I thought, wow, that's interesting how it's
you thought it would be like something that gets passed around, and it's like, oh, we all go to this color theory chart and we all calibrate our cameras the same, but apparently not.
I never use auto on the R4, always grey card or dial in the Kelvin number, Nash has said as well there. What do you use, Langston? Because I know Langston shoots video all the time, so how are you doing your colour? Langston, let us know in the live chat. I hate the term blood red. What would be a vibrant arterial blood red or a deep? Exactly. This is the problem. Color is really, really hard. And this is where I used to get, like I said, with advertising, we used to have to train people to say, you know, they'd say they just want yellow, and then realize there's 20,000 versions of different yellows. We had a swatch book, and I've got them, I've still got them actually, where you open them up and you've got all the swatches labeled down in their color codes, and then you'd match that to CMYK. I don't want to go too deep because it ends up getting a bit complex, but you know, we'd then match that down to CMYK. We'd have other books that were sort of matched to that, and then we'd choose the correct one, and that's what we'd use for the printing process. But it's a very, very complex thing, and it's just interesting when you start to see how everyone will see things differently. And I think that's why now, I like I said, I'm now starting to sort of change it a little bit, and I'm putting the Kelvin in from my personal perspective of how I want it to look, rather than starting from a neutral balance. Because I mean, I did start doing it all the time in the video, and I'd go outside and then I'd go off a white balance on this card, and I'd love to, like I said, I'd love to know, there's no right or wrong in this, and I'd love to know what some of you people think about this. But the problem was, if I'd use this as a grey card and it's outside and I love the colour or whatever, it's nice and warm, using the grey card will immediately take that cast out because it tries to force it to neutral grey.
Yeah, one thing that I did in the past and why I always do a white card is I rather start with neutral, because sometimes there's it's not just a warm or cool thing. Sometimes it's green and magenta, and that's where when I did video in the past, I kind of screwed it up. So now I had too much magenta, and trying to fix that on older DSLR type cameras was just a pain in the butt. So sometimes I would eyeball it just not quite right because the circumstances or the small screen or whatever it is, and then I'd get back like, oh man. So I just, after screwing up a couple times, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do the white card, and of course use my eyes to say, okay, that looks white, everything's good. And then if I just have to warm it in post, it's easy, just a couple taps warmer or a couple taps cooler. But once you start fiddling around with the magenta and stuff, man, on like JPEG or video that's basically type JPEG compression, it's really hard to sometimes get those ugly colors out of there more than just warmer or cooler. So I always do the white card and then use my eye like, okay, yeah, it looks my eyes see this place as being warm, so let me just warm it up a little bit with the Kelvin. That's how I kind of do it.
Yep, not fully understand. Like, this is why I'm saying it's interesting how we all sort of work differently.
Yeah.
But that also, Aaron, that brings back that problem of trying to remember what the image looked like, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if you ask me what red Coca-Cola is, like right now, I've seen it 1,000 times. If you gave me red swatches and say, hey, we need you to match up Coca-Cola red, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I would never remember what it looks like.
So how do you feel? I mean, this is what I mean. I'm just interested. How do you feel, though, about doing this and having this, say, in your shot and using that as a way, like balance it with Kelvin initially, and then use this in case if things weren't okay, and then you could pick on it and get a neutral white balance that way. Or would you just still prefer to work the way you were saying and
it depends on it depends on the camera you're using. If you're using a camera that has a lot of color information, then you can probably move it around more in post. I've never really had cameras. Well, I've had the pocket cameras and shot raw on several projects, but other than that, you got to get it right in camera on a very compressed codec, because trying to fudge those around, man, it just starts getting really muddy looking and really crappy looking. And even though I consider myself a pretty good colorist, sometimes it's just like, oh, this just isn't going right. Just not my fault. I screwed it up while I filmed it, and I just can't fix it because the color information isn't there in the codec. So I just had that habit of getting a natural color. Now I know there's no green or magenta in it, which is a good thing. And then I could either warm it up because I feel like this is supposed to be a very romantic scene, but it looks kind of cool on the back of my camera. Well, then I can just punch it twice. But it's really easy just to warm or cool even with the compressed codec, because you're not really fudging too much up with those two colors. So I like to be safe, because I made too many mistakes messing around with projects. I said, I'm just going to get it straight out. Now, you said holding that thing up. Well, I usually hold a white card or something. If I know the actress or actor or photo, not photos because it's raw, but mainly when we're talking about video, if I'm not shooting raw, if I know they have white on, I feel a little safer. But if there's no white in the scene, then holding something up like that just in the first take or so, as long as the lights don't change, then you're pretty much good to go for the rest of that scene or that shot,
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, it really is interesting to sort of
it is
to do it. And I think the thing is, I suppose, as the future probably eventually will be that we'll be all shooting RAW, and then it's not going to be an issue. You'll be just like shooting RAW stills, and then I mean, I can shoot RAW with the A7S III, but the matte files are too big. So, but it's interesting because Mark also said Monet paintings are like that, and it did, because he showed his garden, and he did the same garden multiple years. I can't remember, it was 20, 40 years difference. I can't remember, it was a long time, but the colors were completely different in his first one to the second, like completely different. Yeah,
that's so cool.
And that showed the difference in his vision that had changed over time.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. What else we remember the swatch fan from Adobe in my desktop print company. Always heated conversation between desktop and print color matching guy. Yep. Well, that's what I always used to go through, Mark, when I was dealing with it as well. I always remember that. What else have we got? Rob said you should see how messed up Whitebalance gets underwater. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Crazy.
You start losing colors as you go deeper. Red is gone by 15 to 20 feet deep. Whitebalance becomes a horrible challenge.
Yeah, I always thought about that. I've never filmed under there or whatever, but I always thought about that.
Yeah, I wonder how you get around it. How do you get around it?
Shoot raw. Shoot raw and do anything you want later.
Do you take a Whitebalance card under the ocean, or do you just leave it to the colors that you're seeing? That'd be an interesting one to sort of see. So
yeah, you could probably dial that in.
Yeah, I know. I'll share that. I'll put that underneath so you can have a read of the whole article, because it's fascinating when you have a look at that one. The next two are just some updates that have happened today. Big ones, Aaron.
What's that?
Let me just clear this. Let me just get rid of that, and I'm going to share the screen, this one. So Adobe today have done some massive updates in Photoshop and Lightroom. Huge updates, actually. I think they've had a go at the other AI programs. I can't remember because I don't use them. There's a few out there.
Luminar, is that?
Luminar stuff. It might not be Luminar, but what's the huge one that's always you
Capture
see advertised?
One?
No.
Yeah, it's the one that made kind of that sky replacement pretty popular.
Yeah, well, anyway, they're sort of, I think they're having a real go at that. Oh, Skylum is one of them.
Oh, that's
Folks, it. Yeah, there's a few, but there's a few out there that are released. So today, Photoshop have done an update that adds this neural filters. It's called neural filters, and it's also sky replacement and more. There's some videos you can watch about it, but what it does now, you've got things like skin smoothing. You've got things where you can change the eye, the way the head looks, the rotation of the head. You can change the position of the eyes, all inside these.
Nothing's real anymore.
I know, it's just nuts. Like, I watched it. Let me just show you just this. We may not be able to get the audio because it's.
Did you say that's in Lightroom?
It's in Photoshop.
Oh, Photoshop.
Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, well, let me just see. I don't think it's going to come through for people. But let me just go to where it shows the face. It does colorizing now. So if we look here, watch what it does with the cows. So he brings the cows up.
Is it going to make them
colorizes them? Now it's going to use this neural engine, this AI, and then it's colorized it.
Oh, my.
Now, let me show you the face because you'll laugh at this.
So wait, that was a black and white photo?
Yep. Wow. It knows what color grass should be. It's using AI. Gosh. So watch this. So.
Does it have to be on green screen?
No.
Oh, they're just showing it, make it look easier to see.
So this is Smart Portrait. Now he's aging himself here, so he's going to make himself look really old. So his hair's gone grey. He's gone.
He's going blonde like you.
Yeah, he's gone blonde like me, exactly. Now he then starts to change this guy's face orientation. He's made him happy, and it showed teeth. It's brought teeth in. I thought you were kidding me. It's got teeth.
Incredible.
Head direction now, so he's moving the head to a different direction.
So when you got that group that's not excited about the photo session, you can put smiles on.
He's changed the eye position, so now they're looking back towards the camera. I mean, this stuff.
That's really crazy, man.
I know. And then,
I don't know if I like it.
Well, I don't know if I like it either. But then they've added sky replacement stuff, so it's using the AI, and apparently it works really amazingly. I think you get 30 skies already built in, and it uses this AI to just put it straight in. So it's it's just click and it's done, which is nuts. And that's all built in as well now. I mean, you're going to start seeing all these sort of things, which is moons over. I mean, I can just picture some of the stuff.
No, that's a real photo.
Yeah. Then you've got, I mean, this is cool. You've got much, much better hair. Like if you're trying to feather and get around hair, so you can put it into masks and stuff like that. It's now got a much better system of doing that using AI. and they're showing a lion that's there as well. Plugins now, which is also terrific too. You're going to get this little plugins thumb sort of or box that you can now bring up, and it will show your plugins actually directly like that, so you won't have to go through the menus anymore. So that's really nice. And apparently they're going to sell them through Adobe as well if you want to get some other plugins as well. But that's Lightroom. That's Photoshop. Lightroom has got an amazing thing now where they're giving you color grading tools built in, so you can colorize like you can with Photoshop. You've got the wheels now.
That's good.
So that's a really nice.
Did they got that on the iPad yet?
Feature. I think they said they did. I think it's on the iPad as well.
I'm going to find out.
There's a couple of things it says on the iPad that it added today as well. I think that was one of them. And there was another thing that was added on the iPads today too. I read that somewhere else as well. So the good thing is now you can do things like split toning and all that sort of stuff by just dragging these color sliding wheels around, like you're using Final Cut or editing software that's out there. You can tether live. You get a live view now with Canon. Hopefully they may add Sony with that as well. And zooming now has become intelligent. In other words, you're now able to do different things with the zooms as well, just by holding keys down, and then it's going to give you really quick zooms, or you can just draw a fraction around the screen and it will zoom up to that level as well. The support for new camera lenses, the Sony a7S III and the a7C has now been supported. I'll have to see if it's got HEIF support, though. That'll be pretty important. But wow, I mean,
that is really cool.
Yeah,
I don't see nothing new on the iPad.
Yeah, oh, okay. There was a couple of things that I mentioned I saw this morning. Perhaps it just hasn't come out yet. It might take a little bit to come through. Yeah. But that's amazing. I love that feature of having those color wheels in Lightroom, because I use them all the time, you know, in my editing video software.
Exactly.
So
for me, it feels more like what I'm used to.
But, I mean, look, I suppose that they've had to try and combat the people that are buying all these other programs that are out there that, you know, LumiView, what is it? You see it all the time, and I'm going to bring it up because it's annoying me. Because I see it advertised, like Sony Alpha Room is advertised at 20,000 times.
See, Hogarth was saying he films raw underwater. Like I was saying, that's probably the best way.
Luminar, Luminar AI.
Luminar.
Yes, because that's all you see all the time now with that stuff, is that Luminar stuff. So this, I suppose they've tried to combat that, and they're giving you the same type of features as the sky replacement. We're going to see this all over the place now, though, Aaron. Sky replacement everywhere.
I don't know if I like it. Well, I mean, I do sky replacement sometimes. So, but you know, it's just, I guess it's a whole new era of photography. It's just, it's an art, you know, you got more tools to work with it. I mean, we've got CGI, you can do anything you want. So it's just kind of like, you know, you have art. I wonder if there's any groups out there, whether they're like groups or Facebook groups or a YouTube channel, where it's all about just natural photography. Does anybody know? Like they pride themselves in that's all they do. I guess film would be one of those. And I do know a couple of people that I know that actually switched. They went back to using film. So I guess that's pretty natural. I don't know.
I don't know either. Look, the thing is, I don't mind any of it as long as people are honest and upfront about it, to say that, you know, that this is art. And I can completely understand that art is art and you should be able to do whatever you like.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's great, as long as you are honest about it, to say, well, you know, this has been edited and I've done this or whatever. You shouldn't be trying to claim that you've got this incredible shot with this unbelievable sky and it's not real. I mean, if you're honest about it, I've got no problem, because it's art, and that's
I don't think you have to call it out, but I'm worried about those people saying, look at this amazing shot, and then they put it in acting like, oh man, where was you at that time? I go to New York all the time and I never seen that. You know, and it's like, oh yeah, I just happened, and they look, come on, that's not real. If someone calls you out on it, just say, I replaced this guy. Yeah,
so just be honest about it and say you did it. If you're going to do it, just put sky replacement or whatever in there. I think it just covers you, because particularly if you use the 30 that Adobe have got, and then everyone's using the same sky replacements, you're going to get caught.
Oh, remember we did a show where there was an Instagram girl?
Yeah.
that was use the same sky over and over or something.
Yeah.
And I remember we did a show on that before when that feature came out for that Luminar or whatever.
So just be careful, and like I said, be honest about it, and then I don't think there's any issue as long as you're honest about it. I mean, I've done it sometimes too, like in the wedding images, and I want to have that impact images, and I'll add it. But I tell the bride, I always say, like, I've added this in. They see it anyway because they see the original as well as the edited one. But if I'm going to share that or whatever, and I want that massive impact image, it's done there. But I don't do it very often, to be honest. I very rarely ever do it because I like things to look as natural as possible.
Well, I'm going to show you one of our photos that I'll show, and you can see the sky in mine is not replaced, and it's, I like to try, like I always tell. Well, we'll get into it later on how we do it, but.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, I suppose it's dealing with whether you want it like a journalistic look or a natural look, and if you do, well, then you probably shouldn't do it. If you're classifying it as art, well, then I don't think
that's a good rule
there's an issue.
Yep.
All right, so let's look at our images. Where was my one? Well, do you want to bring yours up, Aaron, first? Have you got it ready?
Yep, I got it ready. Let's see how to do the share thing again. This has been a while. Application window. And share.
Let me bring that up.
Let me know if you see it.
Yep.
Okay, so now you can see my.
Yep, you can see your pointer.
Yeah, so we were in New York. We went there with a couple. We usually do a couple wardrobes when we go. We did a lot of fall-y yellow type wardrobe. This was one. We didn't do a whole lot of photos with this particular outfit, but man, my wife put that on, and it's just like I got real excited. So we went out and tried to get more of the city into the shot, where our other photos were mainly in the park with yellow leaves. So we went more of this, more of a strong business type woman look.
I was going to say it's a powerful pose, Aaron.
Yeah, she was actually going to work, and I was like, oh my gosh, perfect. Everything's perfect about it. So basically, how I did this was. David talks about this a lot too, is that we are starting to shoot natural light a lot more. I have actually, I don't know, I think I've shot the same, but most of it's natural, but I do use flash if I need it. And I always take flash to any paid events or paid shoots just in case, need it, or they have an idea like, oh yeah, we really want this over here. Like, oh, I didn't bring my flash, and there's no light, so I always bring it. And I brought it here with me too. It's always in my bag, just a small little speed light, but I don't hardly ever get it out. And here's what we're talking about actually is, this was with the Samyang 35 millimeter f2.8, and we were walking around, and I always use zebras to get my exposures. I put on a Sony a7 III. I put my zebras at 100 plus, and I basically set the model up, which is, here's my wife, and I get the composition, everything like that. And then I just wait till I see zebras up here, and then I just back it off. Now, we had a show on using manual.
What do you set your zebras at?
100 plus.
Okay.
I noticed you could do it 100 plus is really close, but I still noticed that it depends on what picture profile. Is it called picture profile? Yeah, not picture profile. Picture, what's that called where you have standard, autumn leaves? Not the picture not the PPP things for video, but the what do you call it? Picture styles.
Picture styles.
So it depends on what picture style you have, which really will make your zebras do a little bit different stuff. So I put it on standard, and then I put it on 100 plus zebras. You could do 100 if you want and be even extra safe, but 100 plus zebras, put it on standard, and I don't move those dials anywhere when I'm shooting raw, because we're getting a JPEG representation of what we're looking through, which is standard. And then I use aperture priority. I do the eye autofocus thing. And then I just take the shutter speed, which I actually, on the back of the Sony, the rear dial I have set for my exposure compensation. I don't like that other dial because it's just like, you just can't roll it that easy. So the back rear dial is exposure compensation. And if it's daylight out and it's bright, I know I'm not going to go too slow on the shutter where motion blur and all that stuff might come in. So I know I'm safe. And all I do is I back it down till the zebras go away. And if you look at the photo, I can point. Right up here was the brightest spot. It was overcast.
Yeah, it's held it.
Yeah, and there was just a little bit of, with the 100 plus zebras on standard picture style, there's a little bit of zebras dancing around here, but I know through my experience that I can still bring that back. Even though there's just a little bit of zebras, And why I do that is because my wife was in shadow, and that brought the shadows up as far as they can go. And with the amazing dynamic range and the low ISO noise that these Sony cameras have, I was able to then bring the shadows up on my wife quite a bit by, I don't know how many stops, 2 stops maybe.
So sorry,
I'm guessing.
was this the Samyang or was this the Tamron lens?
This
I
was
missed.
the Samyang.
Okay. Yep.
2.8, I think. I did so many similar shots in the row, and boosting those shadows up. Just, I mean, with these Sony cameras is so easy now. That's why I don't use flash. Now I could have hauled a flash out here. I'm using a big softbox here in my studio here. I could have brought that out there that I see a lot of guys doing. Ike does that a lot, and you get good photos, but I'm too quick. I want to get stuff going out, and I don't want to do it. And then being in New York, they probably yell at you, which they've done to me once doing video with the tripod, so I don't even deal with it. So you can see images come out great with no flash if you know how to expose properly. And I guess that's my photo for the week.
That's cool. I think the dynamic range is the thing now. Like it's so
that's
good
why I don't
now
use
in
flash
these
as
cameras.
much.
Yeah.
When I was on Panasonic Micro Four Thirds, I almost always used flash. I had to, because if I boosted up like this on a Micro Four Thirds, my wife's face would have just been really mushy, and the eyelashes would have been gone. You probably couldn't even make out her eyes. Now, if you're looking at the photo like this, maybe it's fine, but once you just look at it full scale, it just doesn't work quite right. So yeah, Sonys are great.
This was just one I wanted to share of Ellie, and in theory, it's wrong the way she's looking, but I like it for some reason. I mean, she should probably be looking the opposite way into the frame, but I don't mind her looking away like that. This is an artistic choice that you sort of have to make. In theory, the reason why I say it's wrong is because she should be looking into the space, which is on the left-hand side of the image rather than the right. But I quite like it. It's one of these things that, you know, I sort of think. This was shot natural light as well. There's a lot of reflection off this. It's actually a metal wall. It's steel that's coming down on this wall. I love shooting there. I usually take brides there as well. I love the angles that you're seeing down with the way it goes down sort of on an angle. The way that she's standing, I think, is beautiful with the arms apart. The head shape down that way is beautiful as well. I'm pretty sure this was probably shot with the 16-35 f4 because it's an older photo, and I think it probably was that lens at the time, or it could have even been my 35 1.4 that I had the Sony version before I sold that. But yeah, I love this. I just love the contrast between that wall and then the dress. I think is beautiful, and the shoes. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that one as my image of the day. And to say sometimes what you shoot is, you know, it's not perfect because of the way she's facing, but I like something about that, you know, and I say art is art. You know, and some will say she should have been facing the other way. What do you think, Aaron? Do you think she should have been facing the other way?
Absolutely not. I mean, you could have did both and it would both work, but that's the thing too. Sometimes when I'm out there shooting models, shooting my wife, and we have everything set up like this, you know, I can't go anywhere else. I want that in the background. This is what I want. And then but the light might be reflecting off a wall or something where she's looking out, you know, she's like looking right into the frame, you know, like this. I don't care. It looks cool. I love the composition and it's amazing. So I'm all about breaking rules as long as you know the rules, because if you know, sometimes it doesn't work and it's just like there's just really nothing going on in this photo and she's looking off to the short part of the frame. It doesn't jive. So as long as you know the rules, then you can go ahead and break them artistically. And I think you did that perfectly here. I think what's really cool about this is those, you know, you got the lines going up and down. Well, not quite, they're slanted, but then those other lines are going in the direction that she's looking. And I just think it just, to my eye, it looks good. But know the rule that you should look into the frame to give the talent more space, they call it. You know, you shouldn't, you know, shoot them right here. You should, you know, shoot, you know, you shouldn't leave too much space here and you shouldn't cut them off here, you know, type of thing, all this space type stuff. But artistically, I love that. I mean, when you looked in there, your eye probably just liked it, and kind of like mine does.
There's a reason why the truth, Aaron, why I did it is because the light's coming from that side. You can see it if you look at the image. Yeah, it's brighter there. Yeah, I wanted her face to be into the light, and that's the reason why I faced her that way. You can see if you look at the left-hand side there, it's much darker down in the left-hand corner as against it is in the right-hand corner. So for me, the immediate thing I thought was, because I'm not using flash, I always want them to face towards the light, and that's why her face is in that position, breaking that rule.
That's so cool, because I do the same thing. this is the composition I want, but the light's bouncing off of this area over here, and she's going to look into that because I don't want her looking the other way. Sometimes it doesn't work and you got to change, but it worked. Loved it.
Yep. Let me just quit that. Rob said here too, artists, or George said, artists are supposed to break the rules, not follow them. And I agree, and Aaron and myself have talked about that a lot, haven't we, Aaron?
Yeah, you know what, this is the funny thing I get, like sometimes we've talked about, bullies when you post photos and stuff. Every time if I post something artistically that I broke, there's always that one person who probably just learned something on a YouTube video that was regurgitated by someone else, that was regurgitated someone else, and they think like this is set in stone. I just learned something new, and I'm going to tell Aaron J. Anderson what's wrong with his photo. They don't even know who I am. They don't research that. Oh, wow. I guess he might know what he's doing here. Oh, I get it. It's artistic. So they'll pull out these cookie cutter type things, and they have no idea what else was going off in the frame. And then you'll have some people like completely pick out what I was doing, which I was like, wow, you got a good eye, because that's exactly. So, you get these cookie cutter type people, and you should know the rules for sure. So you know when you're breaking them. But man, that's break the rules if it fits your artistic eye, Yeah,
exactly. I'm all for that. You just do what's right for you anyway. That's the beauty of art, isn't it? Not you're not trying to please someone else, just please yourself, really.
Exactly.
Well, that's it. We're at the end of the show. I've really enjoyed this discussion today. I'll leave the links down for these two articles down below so you can read them later on. But the updates are really cool. Like I said, there's some things which, like adding teeth to smiles and stuff, freak me out. But anyway, have a look.
Weird.
Yeah, have a look at it and sort of see what you think. I've done the upgrades. I'm going to have a play around with them sometime today. So we'll be back on Friday or Saturday my time, Friday your time, for our usual live Sony Alpha News and Rumors show, as long as there's enough to talk about.
Well, there's a lot of cameras. Well, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, something kind of went weird there. There's a lot of cameras came out. We didn't even mention the new Nikons came out.
I know.
Fuji has a new one coming out.
That's
Canon
meant to be a Mini X-T4, I believe, that new Fuji one.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a friend that's interested about it. He's been sending me some links and stuff that's very interesting. It looks really good. So maybe next week we can talk about some of those and where those are headed, and anything else. What am I
next
doing?
Week.
Oh, you know what?
Next week we can bring up all of those new releases and just go through them all, Aaron. Yeah, you were going to say, what are you doing?
Yeah, you know what I just did? I just finally set up a studio for jewelry photography. It's been a long time where I was just kind of winging it wherever I was. It's like, okay, can you do some jewelry photography? Here's your little place in the store to do it. And it was so hard because you have people walking by and then you got a reflection of someone's face in there. It was just so, and jewelry photography is literally one of the hardest forms of photography. It's just so difficult. So finally, I set up a studio, not here, in another location where now I've got my own space, and I've got, now I can move lights around and all that. So it's kind of neat. What I'm basically saying is, if you don't need a whole lot of space to create a studio, and I know a lot of people have been talking about, they are not getting a lot of work, really consider doing product photography, whether it's jewelry, whatever, and go out in your city, make a flyer or a card and say, here, you need some photos for your food, for your menus, because there's so much work out there for that. We went to a photo shoot of someone doing food photography for a local business, and you really don't need a whole bunch of stuff to do product photography. So I just wanted to put that out there for people who are trying to look for jobs. They're always trying to look to do the magazine shoots or the models or the big weddings. Just product photography is actually so much out there. So just wanted to add that.
You should film that and we could put it on the show. That's a perfect thing for behind the photo. That would be great. You could show your setup. No, your setup with jewelry. It'd be terrific to have a look at it.
I think I will. I'm still kind of getting used to the whole thing, but maybe I will, and show you how I move lights around and how you knock
that'd be cool.
And all that. Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Okie dokie. That's about it, guys.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll be back next week. We will. We'll talk about that. We'll have a new camera releases. We'll go through all the new releases and sort of discuss it and see what we think about that. So we'll do it as one of the stories for next week. So any questions, leave them down below and we'll get back to you. Aaron and myself both answer those questions. So we'll both go through those as well if you have any questions. Apart from that, everyone, we'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Catch everyone. Bye.
Bye.